This is just a thought I had, but could you imagine if Nerf Rival would have not come out until 2022 with the launch of the brand new Nerf Accu Rounds line, whatever they want to call it, Accustrike Nerf Rival, because, man, they launched these 3 blasters almost perfectly. You got the Fate, which is a $12, $13 pistol, single load, but works really good. You got the Vision, which has an integrated magazine. If you don't already have a bunch of Nerf Rival magazines, you can pick that up and still have multiple rounds on tap ready to go. And then we have the Pathfinder, the magazine-fed, pump-action, primary-styled new Nerf Rival Blaster for 2022. This was sent to me by Hasbro free of charge. They sent me the entire line. However, my opinions are still completely my own. And with something like this, I'm usually not the biggest fan, but if it works good and I can finally have reliable accuracy with single-shot Nerf Rival, and if this thing has slam fire, which I honestly do not know, there's gonna be a lot to love here, and this may be something that convinces me that Nerf Rival is certainly still ready to go and not going anywhere after being seemingly displaced by Nerf Hyper. This might be a very good one, but we'll have to see. The Pathfinder 22 for the year 22, 1200 12-round detachable magazine. It only comes with the one 12-round detachable magazine up to 90 FPS velocity, so the exact same velocity advertised as the Fate and the Vision. Priming slide, or foregrip pump. They could have just said pump action. 12 times high impact Accu rounds included, and rounds compatible with all NERF Rival Blasters, so they don't even give you more rounds for your trouble, which is it's a $31.50, as I believe the MSRP on this blaster, which is a bit much, but for something like this, that's not bad. That's like just cut 2 things and immediately the blaster falls out. And it's smaller once I actually take it out of the package. I don't know what that's about. Magazine has a rubber bumper on the bottom of them with like one of those Magpul style loops on it, which is super cool. The magazine does feel a little bit cheaper than your standard Nerf Rival mag, but otherwise looks identical. Blaster itself, grip is okay. I feel like they did a lot less work on this grip than they did with the Fate or the Vision. This one doesn't seemingly choke up at all near the top, which is a problem. It has a little bit of a finger choil right there, which isn't great. It's definitely the worst grip of all of them, but the priming grip is nice and smooth. It's big, so if you have bigger hands, you should be able to wield it no problem. And it has a nice backstop right there with no force stop on it, so yeah, your hand could seemingly slide off of it, but I think you're gonna be able to get a good grip with it, especially with a little bit of checkering right here up at the front. The stock is a stock, I guess. It has some checkering right there. It is laughably too short even for me. Maybe it's more of an arm brace kind of thing, gives you another point of contact for sure, but that's not good. That's really bad, and it's not removable or anything, which I think is a massive mistake. So I felt like the side swipe from last year was way more shoulderable, and that was a short stock. This is worse. This is definitely not good. That's gonna need a big old fat extension on it. The sight, it has 2 adjustment points on it. It's got a wheel right here, which moves the post left and right, and then it's got a wheel right here that raises and lowers that post. And the front is just that bright green translucent piece. I mean, you can get a cheek weld on it. You could definitely look through the side. I'm not gonna fault it for that, although I've definitely had better. Big old massive chunky lever right here for a mag release, which is pretty good. Mag holds 12 rounds, fits in easily. It's not got any kind of guides or anything on it, but it's very easy to get in there, and it angles forward, which looks awesome. Although the mag rattles really bad, which is less awesome. The new Nerf Rival rounds are the same size as the old ones, but there are some very, very striking differences. For one, the dimples are much larger. 2, they feel a little bit denser than the original Nerf Rival rounds, which is good because that means it should hopefully be able to carry its velocity better at longer ranges. And the last final thing is that they have like some kind of like rubbery coating on the outside, which feels really good compared to the kind of porous foam that the original Nerf Rival rounds had. And loading the magazine really can't be any easier. This is kind of the best part about Rival, is how easy Nerf Rival magazines are to refill. This little tooth right here actually does eject your rounds if you want to, you know, take them out without using the blaster, but they allow one-way feeding into the magazine perfectly. You can even pick rounds off the ground by just kind of pushing them into the magazine. But what's the priming weight like? It's pretty hefty. It's a little clunky. It's not horrible. It's very short, but that's to be expected because it's got the same power behind it that the Vision and the Fate had, which means even though it's a bigger, more expensive blaster, it is not necessarily better. They're all about the same. So really the only thing that's going to separate them is the features that you want to have and how much money you're willing to spend. And of course, if there's any like just plain old flaws between all of them, but that feels pretty good. I'm gonna hold the trigger down, prime it back. It does not have slam fire. We got a slide release on the back right here if your blaster jams, and you've got a big old safety on the side that locks the trigger, but it's only on the right-hand side, which sucks for anybody who's left-handed. Yeah, this may be the most least exciting one for me, but of course we still have to actually test it. Maybe it's the best performing one. The Pathfinder over the chronograph. Let's see what this baby does. 89.8, 87.6, 89, we're kissing that 90, but we're not getting over it yet. 87, 90, there we go. 88, 90, 98, there we go. 89, inverse that one. 91, 90, and 92. So maybe the average is slightly over 90 FPS, but for a good portion of that, we were under 90 FPS. So, well, I mean, that's what it says on the box, eh? Alrighty, the Pathfinder, loaded with a mag of the brand new NERF Rival Accu Rounds. And let's see how they fly through the air, and if there's a substantial difference between them and the original yellow ones. Was pretty straight, maybe a slight curve to the left. That was a pretty decent curve to the right. That one was dead on. Also dead on. Slight curve to the right. Maybe again, slight curve to the right. Slight curve to the left, and maybe a slight curve to the left, but overall, I don't think you'd struggle to hit somebody like that. Let's give it an angled shot. Dead on. And one more. Maybe a very slight curve to the left. All right, well, nothing too shocking there compared to the previous two, but let's load it up with original yellow NERF Rival rounds and see what happens. Brand new, original yellow NERF Rival rounds, and we'll see what happens when they're shot out of the Pathfinder with its quote-unquote optimized barrel, and see if that actually means literally anything. Starting flat, dead on. Also dead on. Slight curve to the left. Maybe a slight curve to the right. Angled shot. Adds slight curve to the left. And a pretty noticeable curve to the left that then corrected itself and fell down straight in the middle. And yep, that's what I have for the original Rival. So again, much like the shots I did for the Fate and the Vision, there's some somewhat noticeable, but it honestly, even looking at them laying down range, there isn't that much of a difference between the two, at least out of the new blasters. Now, obviously, there's gonna need to be another video on where we use the NERF Accu rounds out of a different Rival blaster or 3 or 4. All right, out of all 3 of them, I think this will be the easiest one to get a consistent idea of how it shoots with, because this one has a stock, and this one has better sights, at least compared to the freaking Vision. So hopefully this is the one that shows us we have the most. But anyway, I'm gonna do 10 shots at the target. We're about 15 feet away, which is about half the distance of what Hasbro's alleged test they did was. This should still give us an idea, and I'm still planning on doing another video where we actually put the target 30 feet away and test. But this is just to be consistent with all of my other videos. 10 shots out of the Pathfinder with the new rival rounds, and then 10 shots with the original. Again, this one should hopefully be a little bit more eye-opening, as long as I don't hit the microphone with it. Aiming right at the head of the target. All right, it's a very solid group for a stock Nerf blaster, but is it any different compared to the original rival rounds? Now, it should be noted that this one claims to have an optimized barrel as opposed to the original Nerf rival blasters, so that could be skewing results somewhat, but I'm going to attempt anyway to clear this and do the same exact test, aiming at about the same exact spot to see how big of a group we get using the original rival ammunition in comparison out of the new blaster. I think it's actually a smaller group. Well then. Okay. At least with the optimized barrels, I'm uncertain if there's even a difference. At least when it comes to accuracy. Well, it's not so much like a pump action rifle, I feel. Maybe that's the wrong way I think this is. It looks like an SMG from like Call of Duty. That's what it reminds me the most of, which is a shame. I kind of wish it was a flywheeler now, because that would be absolutely incredible. But where would they put half the internals without ruining the shell, I wonder? And hey, maybe there's a flywheeler coming, because this was, from what we know, the most expensive one in this new line, running in at like $32 for like its standard price tag, which is a bit, and there are a lot of things to like. Magazine fed, pump action. We still, I mean, what, we got the Hypnos? I think that was like the last hurrah for like a pump action mag fed. Like that's still like a rarity in Nerf Rival, kind of for good reason, because Nerf Rival isn't really consistently accurate enough, in my opinion, to warrant single shots. I mean, MagFed is kind of the competitive standard. You want to fill up all your mags before a game, use them at the game, and don't have to worry about filling up tubes or anything like that in the middle of a match. So I can see that going pretty well, and it's, man, that's one of the best mag releases and feeds that I've seen from a stock blaster. Plus, it looks frickin' amazing. The stock is kind of a joke. Is it usable? Especially with the sight as far forward as it is? Yeah, you definitely can. Is it super comfortable? No. It's tiny. Absolutely tiny. I kind of wish you could remove it if you wanted to. It works better, kind of like a brace, just another point of contact. Maybe if you tuck it under your arm or something when you're firing from the hip. But overall, that's pretty useless. The sights, I think, are pretty good on this one. I still really liked what I got with the Fate. I didn't like the Visions as much. This one is rather adjustable, but I feel like the Fates was the best. This one feels okay. I wish it was possible to move the sight back and forth, but you can't. So It is adjustable, but not in the ways that I would like it to be, especially on a platform that is, you know, there's gonna be a lot of different people who either like or hate or want to change this in a variety of different ways. And then it comes down to accuracy and stuff, which is, I didn't really see a difference between the yellow and the blue rounds. We can't really tell how well the blue rounds, at least with my limited testing, how well they hold up in terms of repeated firing, getting stepped on, how well they handle wind compared to the original. Like, that's all like stuff I don't really have the tools to test. But I already smell another video coming in the future where we test the new rival rounds out of old blasters to see what happens. And I didn't really notice that much of a difference, at least firing out of this thing with optimized barrel, if it was any different or not. It kind of felt the same. Ergonomically, I think the grip is somewhat of a step back, but it's still comfortable, especially with my smaller hands. If you have a bigger hand, this might be an issue for you, but for my hands, it's fine. The triggers are fine, the pump is fine, everything about it is pretty good. The price, $32, I think is a little bit much for what you're getting here, but I don't think you'll be all that disappointed, and that is before any kind of sales. If this thing drops below like 22 bucks, I would say definitely get one. If you ever see one for like, you know, under 20, I think it's worth checking out, because again, magazine-fed Nerf Rival is, especially like with a normal magazine, all things considered, is still somewhat of a rarity. I don't think it's gonna set the world on fire, and thankfully with this whole release, if you're really interested in the new rounds and the new blasters, you can just buy the Fate and get your, you know, lips wet on that, and then find out if you want to buy the big boys later. But this design is really attractive, and I know a lot of people are gonna buy it just because it looks like this. And well, obviously you can open it, because I've already seen a bunch of other people open and mod theirs, so I don't know how well the internals handle up to a modification, but the mod potential is there, which is always a good thing. And who knows, maybe you can get some ridiculous performance out of this, or God save us all, probably convert it to shoot half darts, which I'm sure people are already working on. The Pathfinder isn't bad. It's not even like mediocre or anything. It's pretty darn good. It's just a hair's breadth from great. And maybe I'm just slightly disappointed because I didn't notice a massive change in the perspective of the accuracy between the original rival rounds of this thing, but that's all I've got for you. You're gonna have to let me know down in the comment section. I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. Chances are if you got to the end, you like what I do here. So please hit like, get subscribed, ring the bell, leave a comment, do all that algorithmic garbage to help the channel grow so you can help the hobby grow. And of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different video. I'm gonna take a break from Nerf Rival for a little bit to tackle something, finish something I started recently and have neglected to follow up on. And I'm sure we'll do a video in the future. Let me know if I need to do that, about the 30-foot distance and, of course, how well the new rival rounds stack up to the old one inside older blasters.
You gotta up,